Lesson in the book of Daniel in chapter 11. We are dealing with a question which was asked here a few weeks back on where does the Antichrist come from? We have been looking at primarily Daniel chapter 7 and chapter 8, where we have located the first two pieces of the puzzle that gives us an answer of where we are to look for this prophetic figure. In Daniel 7, we learn that the roots of this individual, he's going to arise out of the territory of the ancient the ancient Roman Empire. Yeah. In chapter 8, we have learned that he will also arise within the territory of the Grecian Empire, one of four divisions of the Grecian Empire, pictured as horns in the 8th chapter of Daniel on a he-goat, has a little horn coming out of it. However, chapter 8 doesn't tell us which one of those four horns. What I'm going to be showing is that it will be the Seleucid Empire, also called ancient Syria, which is much bigger than modern Syria. And in chapter 11, I believe that we will be able to determine that it will be where then the Roman Empire at its far eastern extent overlaps with the Seleucid Empire, another ancient empire, at its greatest extent heading west. It's in that area. And I've passed out a map already showing that to you. Not on that chart, but yes, you've got the map right there. But now tonight we want to get that last piece of the puzzle, which will tell us that it is what the Bible calls the King of the North. This is when we're talking about north of Israel. You understand, I hope everyone gets this, that when the Bible speaks of north, east, south, and west, it's not giving us directions from the United States. I hope you comprehend that. But instead, it is dealing with nations in and around the Mediterranean Sea because of how they have affected or will affect, as far as prophecy was concerned, the little nation of Israel. Now in chapter 10, which is a prelude to chapter 11, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in chapter 10, only to let you know this is where the story in effect starts, although not the prophecy. It's the story of Daniel praying for 3 weeks, 21 days, for the Lord to show him what was going to be happening to the nation of Israel. And finally, the angelic interpreter comes. He is not identified here in chapter 10 by name, but if he is the same as had been throughout the rest of Daniel, we can rightly assume it was Gabriel. And he comes to Daniel and tells Daniel something strange. He says, Daniel, your prayer was heard back 3 weeks ago, but it's taken me this long to get here to you because the prince of Persia withstood me. I don't think any human prince can stop a mighty angel. Remember in the days of the kings in Israel, how that there was one angel that killed, what was it, 186,000 men of the enemy troops that had surrounded the city. One angel was able to get rid of thousands of men.
I think it was 180,000.
I thought it was 186.
186, that was close.
That's what I said.
I think that's what it was, 186.
You can look it up if you want to. But I'm not going to quibble over the amount. The point is still well taken. No human being is going to be able to withstand Gabriel. Okay? And so what we're seeing here is something that gets us into, really, the book of Revelation. And let's see if I can quickly get, no, it's not this one. I gotta pick up the right folder if I want to get the right information. But in the book of Revelation, we have an interesting picture. I can find it here. Here it is. Of Satan's kingdom. It shouldn't surprise you that Satan has a kingdom. Remember in, where is it, Luke chapter 10, where, I'm not sure if that was the one, or Matthew 12, but it was somewhere in the Gospels, I'm not going to slow down and look it up, where Jesus was accused of casting out demons by the power of Beelzebub, the prince of demons. And remember Jesus said, look, if Satan casts out Satan, then his kingdom is divided, and it won't stand. This lets you know that Satan has a kingdom. There's principalities and powers, spiritual wickedness in heavenly places, the spirits of wickedness that produce, I think, the philosophies and ideologies that are prevalent in the society today that leave God out. And so it is. They're pictured here, much like what we saw in the beast. Remember, the beast represents the beast in Revelation 13 and 17 with 7 heads, 10 horns, represents human government in opposition to God and his people. The dragon, this is a symbol used to represent Satan in the book of Revelation. The dragon, or also referred to as the serpent. And you may not have caught this in just reading through it, but in Revelation chapter 12, it pictures just like the beast in Revelation 13 and 17, the dragon, Satan's kingdom, is pictured as also having 7 heads and 10 horns. And remember how I've told you, every time you see one of these wild animals in apocalyptic literature, prophetic books of the Bible, that the body of this creature must be viewed as separate and distinct from the heads and the horns. And so I believe the body of this beast, which drew 1/3 of the stars, we've already dealt with this previously, and it's not talking, as you understand my position, is it's not talking about something prehistorical, about what happened in the rebellion in heaven when Satan originally was kicked out of there. But this has to do with the stars of the woman whose head has this crown of stars. She's clothed with the sun and has the moon under her feet. This, I believe, is a picture of Israel. I'm not getting back into the whole picture here, but I'm merely showing you this picture to show you that Satan is, his kingdom is pictured with 7 heads. And I believe those are archdemons. They're called in Scripture, Paul refers to them, King James Version, principalities. Principalities. But in the Greek, it's arche. Just like we get archangel. These are archdemons. And these are high-ranking demons who Satan has designated to have certain jurisdiction over certain empires that successively occur throughout history. And so, one of these heads here would be the Prince of Persia. Another is a Prince of Grecia. Another is a Prince of Rome, and etc. But this is what Gabriel is telling Daniel in chapter 10, that the Prince of Persia withstood me, hindered me from coming, and that raises more questions than I've got answers for. You know, how do angels battle? I know in Revelation 12 it said the devil and his angels fought, and Michael and his angels fought. And eventually, the dragon and his angels were kicked out of heaven. Huh? I thought they already were. This is in the 12th chapter of Revelation. I believe there's a yet future ejection of demonic powers that are operating in the heavenly. Satan is going to be cast down to this earth, we're told, in Revelation 12, knowing that he has but a short time. That short time isn't going to be any more than those last 3.5 years of Gentile times. But, that's kind of getting ahead of the story. I merely used this picture that we get in John to show you what I'm talking about here in verse 13 of Daniel 10. But the Prince of Persia, Gabriel, we presume it's Gabriel, tells Daniel, the Prince of Persia, this demonic prince, not the literal human prince, withstood me these 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, Michael is also an archangel, came to help me. And I remained there with the kings of Persia. You know, he and I'm getting the picture. It's fascinating. When the Bible just kind of pulls back the curtain a little bit onto the supernatural events in the heavenlies. It would appear that every time you have maybe earthly conflicts, wars, especially world wars, that's going to determine the future of the whole world, that there is also these battles that go on in the heavenly realm. And as I said, that raises more questions than I can answer. You know, what do they do? Do they use, I don't think they just use swords and spears or whatever. Do they use force fields? I don't know. Some of these things we'll have to wait to find out. But that doesn't make the conflict any less real. And so here is Gabriel and Michael withstanding the successive Persian kings, remained there with the kings of Persia, and now I got a break. Aren't you glad he got a break? Verse 14, now am I come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days, for the vision is yet the vision is for many days. And I'm going to skip over some of this. I'm not going to go through all of this word for word. And then in verse 20,
11:20.
No, I'm in 10:20. I backed up a bit to lay the foundation for 11. Chapter 10 in Daniel does not have anything prophetic involved in it, except maybe for here in the 20th verse we do get a bit of prophecy at this point, but it's not a major thing. We get into that more in detail in the next chapter, in chapter 11. And then Gabriel, I'm assuming it's Gabriel, then said he to Daniel, knowest thou wherefore I am coming to thee? Well, I've been praying for you to come. Yes, but we're involved in a conflict that relates to the very inquiry you were making about the future of the nation of Israel. So now I will return when I'm finished telling you all that the Lord wants me to tell you, which takes you through the next 2 chapters. By the time the angelic vision, this final one of Daniel, actually covers chapters 11 and 12. And when that's done, the book of Daniel is completed. But then he says, I now will return to fight with the prince of Persia. I'm getting a picture here. I hope I'm not reading too much into this. That's up for you to decide. I don't think I'm giving an opinion here. I think I see this in the Word. Gabriel has said, look, I got stuck fighting the prince of Persia, that supernatural demonic prince that Satan had designated to be sure, or try to be sure, that Satan's agenda would be fulfilled in Persia. And I had to contest that. I couldn't get free to come and give you the answer that God had also commissioned. It sounds like Gabriel got double booked. But God had wanted me to come and tell you. So Michael saw my plight. He came and stood with me to relieve me here momentarily, to give you the information you requested, and God wants you to know. But when I'm done with this conflict isn't over. I'm going to go back to still contend with the prince of Persia. I find this absolutely fascinating. I don't know.